I am an author, coach, and speaker, and I like to have fun. So we're going to play a game tonight that involves, let me see, what are we doing? Associating feelings with an artist or musical place. And my guest this evening is Robyn Ivy. Hi, Robyn.
Hi, Trish.
So Robyn is a life coach, a photographer, and the creator of the Inspired to Life Virtual Summit, which I participated in, I don't know, like, was it 3 weeks ago? Something like that?
It feels like 6 months or 2 minutes.
No, 6 months or 2 minutes. It's COVID, yep. So we don't know. Yep. But it was amazing. I think it was like one of my best interviews yet. And after my rebranding, so I was saying like all the right names and websites and things, which was great. Yep. So I'm excited to have Robyn here with us. I guess the first thing I want you to do is tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us about your business. What are you getting into?
Oh, my business or myself? Okay, well, in my business, I've been really busy coaching people, and I've been thinking a lot in my business about being watering holes for each other, and about like this idea of if each person really starts to take responsibility for what they want in their life and who they are in their life, and we give permission for each other to do that, what a really different world we're going to have, you know? So yeah, yes. I've been doing that. I've been trying to light people up one person at a time.
I love it. Yeah. I think that's why we got along so well during that first conversation. Yeah. So you know that my mission is to help people slay self-doubt and limiting beliefs so they can juice up their life's journey and find mind-blowing happiness. And you know, mind-blowing happiness is the term that I made for self-actualization, but I wrote the official definition, which I'm going to read from the website. And that is, mind-blowing happiness is a state of deep joy and fulfillment characterized by a juicy life's journey, steeped in passion, purpose, and the realization of your fullest potential.
Love it.
I love it.
Juicy.
There you go. So let me see, the one thing that I do want to tell you guys is that I have made the commitment to teach the 12 steps to mind-blowing happiness to 12 million people over the course of the next 12 years. You see a pattern here, beginning with my birthday, which is actually September 10th, but I'm hosting the launch party for the second edition of Mind-Blowing Happiness on September 9th, which is a Thursday. And everybody's invited. So anybody who's in Atlanta is going to be at the gathering spot, and everybody's welcome to come out. So that's my announcement. And today's topic is it time for a career change? And even like maybe a creative career transition. So this topic came up for me because I got an email about a week ago from one of my readers, and she had read Thinking Outside the Chrysalis, A Black Woman's Guide to Spreading Her Wings. And she said that, you know, she had read it and it was great, but she totally forgot to tell me about it because, like, who remembers to tell anybody's stuff, you know? But she reached out to me and she said that it really inspired her to change her job because she had been working in a job that was, I guess, what I used to call the Sunday flu. Robyn, I don't know if you've ever had that, where it's like Sunday, you're just like suddenly feeling really sick. Because Monday's coming and it doesn't look good. And so she made a career change. And I thought about, wow, you know, how often do we make these changes? So I guess I was going to talk a little bit about some of the different jobs that I've had.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about your kind of career journey, because you do a lot of different stuff and creative stuff too.
Well, and what's really funny is a few years ago when I hired my first VA, and we were doing the, like, you know, so who are you and what do you do and how are you? How do you operate in the world? And I was telling her, I was like, well, I never had a real job.
Is that like your personal assistant?
Well,
darling?
That's a that makes it sound way
you said PA, which made it sound more glamorous.
VA.
Oh, what's a VA?
Virtual assistant. So she was in Australia and she was to do some like back office admin stuff, and basically makes all the things easier.
Right.
But then she went on to have a baby, so she's not maybe anywhere. But regardless, why was I telling you that, Trish?
I was just asking you about like your career journey.
We were talking at the beginning, we're getting to know each other, and she was asking me the same question. I was like, you know what? I was the kid, I went to Emory University in Atlanta for the bulk of my college, and then went on somewhere else after. But when I when I was there, I kept thinking, how do you go from college to a job? Like, I didn't understand why anybody in their senior year of college felt qualified. Because I was like, all you did was study something. Like, you didn't actually do anything.
Yeah.
So why do you feel, what bridge are you walking over to this job that I didn't see the entrance to the bridge anywhere. And I was like, everybody else seems to like have an opening somewhere. And I didn't. So my fear of ever having a real job and like feeling unqualified for a regular job made me like, was the complete driver for creating my own jobs my whole, like forever. I never felt like I was qualified to get a regular job. And then my VA is like, but can I like, do you know that's harder? Like in high, like that's hard. Like,
so you never worked for anyone?
No, like I did like up until I was like 23, but then not since. Like no, not since.
Do you remember your first job, like your first job in high school or college or?
My first job was scooping ice cream at the same time that I was the only girl that worked at our local skate shop. Like, so that was I had like a good profound first job.
You had 2 jobs?
Girls. Yeah.
2 jobs?
Yeah.
Okay.
They didn't take up that much time. And,
my co-host is coming.
Oh yeah.
Never had a job, but I'm going to let him say hello.
Yeah. So I've always created stuff for myself out of, mostly out of just fear that I was unqualified for regular work. Yeah.
I was talking to you before the show and telling you that I've had a lot of jobs. I had my first job when I was 14. I was a telephone solicitor for like this, the Poconos.
Uh-huh.
You know the Poconos? So they had this place, Shawnee Development in the Poconos. I still remember, I could probably remember the script almost.
Probably sell us a mop for the condo.
People would put their names in the little box at like the Wendy's or the dry cleaners or something, and they put their name and number, and then I would call them later. And it's hilarious to me now because I was 14, like calling grown adults trying to book them on vacations.
It probably worked.
I did okay, I did
okay. When you're 14, like if you're either too shy to do it, but if you're confident enough to do it, then you're like, you don't overthink it at that age. You just do it.
I didn't understand what the big deal was to make a phone call and read a script. I thought it was the easiest job ever. Of course, back in those days, minimum wage was like, no, I don't even want to say, it was $3.35, if that's even, like, you can't even get a cup of coffee now for that, but
so true.
That was it. And I started working full-time when I was 17. So I ended up going to college at night. So it was just like, I just had this winding path of figuring out what I wanted to do or what somebody was going to pay me for,
The weirdest job I ever had.
I didn't think I could make money doing like writing and coaching and, the stuff that we do now. So
well, you probably couldn't have at 14.
That's an excellent point. But no,
so, you can let your inner 14-year-old off the hook on that one,
Coaching people at 14.
Granted, yeah.
I'd be like, listen, Kool-Aid is the way to go. Like, what am I like, what are we talking about?
Look, I know some really, really savvy 14-year-olds, though. I will give a lot of 14-year-olds credit for having to manage a lot more than they really ever ought to have to. But still,
Yeah, no, and that's true too. Because I grew up in Brooklyn. Like I wasn't driving. I was riding the subway for probably.
We know what you were up to. We saw that movie Kids.
Like forever.
I said we knew what you were up to because we saw that movie Kids.
Oh, I plead the fifth. I plead the fifth. Because I've seen
that movie came out. We were like, oh, kids in the city are busy.
I was like, I know nothing about any of this. Nobody watched that movie, okay?
No. Oh, yeah, don't go. Yeah. Oh, the weirdest job I ever had, Trish. I worked for a year after my grandfather died when I was like 19, and I wanted to like be around old people. And I really love older people. So I took a job for a year as a nurse's assistant, like a CNA at a nursing home. And I will tell you, I almost feel like similar to the Israeli military. Like I almost think that like almost everyone should have to work in a nursing home in that job for like 6 minutes to a year, like something, because the level of weird human intimacy that you're forced into with strangers minute one is a real
It's a life
opportunity. Right? And like, because you have to do all the things that you would do for like the grandparent that you love to pieces. You're just doing it for somebody else's grandparent. And that's that can be a weird thing, like that level of physical intimacy with people. And also it was one of the most meaningful, because the people who, especially the dementia folks, they would have these moments of lucidity where they would really like come back to life, like that movie Awakenings with Robin Williams once upon a time. Like people would really like have a moment and they would say something very profound to me that was almost like they were channeling something.
But I think that, and part of the reason why I wanted to have this conversation, because I know there are people out there who may be working a job and think they want to do something different or want to pursue a dream and they're not sure how or if it's safe to do that. But I think that every job you kind of learn something, and the more opportunities that you have, whether it's paid or unpaid, to try new things is part of the juicy life journey. It's part of that learning and experiencing different things. So
don't you love connecting the dots backwards? Like, don't you love that? I love looking back. Like, I love, even when I interviewed you, like I like looking back on I like connecting other people's dots backwards too. Being like, but if you hadn't like had that job, you wouldn't have like learned that skill. Like when I used to teach yoga, I really felt like the only reason I ever did it, in hindsight, I think, was because it taught me how to watch how people inhabit their bodies. So if somebody's in a yoga pose and they're like this, well, because you teach yoga too. So like if you're like this, or people are, their body posture is this, it speaks volumes about things that are happening for people, right? So like learning how to watch how people were living in their bodies and holding their bodies, and like when they get scared, where they start to protect, and like how trauma lives in the body, and like all of those things taught me skills that made me a much better photographer, because I saw physical cues to things, and I could read the emotional story coming through their body language. It would cue me like, oh, they feel uncomfortable. Oh, they're feeling more scared right now. Like I need to step in with greater support, or like.
And it affects you too, right? It gives you your own self-awareness about your own physical body and your own emotions.
Yeah. Huge.
Yeah, because it's interesting that being a yoga teacher, because I know it helps me, that my yoga training helps in my coaching.
Yes.
A lot.
Sure. But I used to get down on myself because I didn't want to open a studio. I didn't really want to teach 400 classes a week. Like I kept looking at other teachers back then thinking like, how come I don't want more of this? Like, why don't I want more of this in a certain way that I see other people craving more, right? And I feel like that I see that with my clients. Like you're in a job and you're like, why don't I want the bigger version that Sally in the cubicle next to me want? Like, why don't I want that bigger thing? Where's my passion for this that she's going after?
Right.
Like, cause that your stop on the train might be somebody else's end station. And that's cool, but like that's not your end game. That's where you learn how to watch how people inhabit themselves, so you can go on and do the next thing you're meant to do.
And it's a tool, So like I had a fitness center franchise. I got to go through my jobs because I said I was going to
do it. Yeah,
in my head I was going to do this, but you got me. I'm like, I did that. So I had a fitness center franchise. So I knew when I got my teacher certification, I knew I didn't want to have a studio. I was like, done. Didn't want to do that. But I taught for a while in other studios, and it took a little while to figure out how I wanted to use it, and now I'll teach at a retreat. Like I love hosting retreats. If I host a retreat, I'll teach, and I'll incorporate it into, coaching or like a series or something like that. But I realized very quickly that I didn't want to go into a yoga studio 5 days a week and teach. You have to have a special love for that. Don't you think? Like it's not easy.
I think it's like everything. Like I think we all go through life together, kind of looking left and right and watch. And like for some people, like that really is like they're there because there's a different expression in their life that's meant to lead them to. And for us, it was like,
well, for some people, that's what they would love to do, is teach yoga all day,
Right.
and
and maybe they feel like,
and I appreciate those people because I'll go take the classes all day.
Right. Like I actually feel like I want to encourage people to do the thing that is the truest thing for you right now, so that because I feel like the way we really support each other and give each other permission to live these bigger lives and the work we want to do with each other is like, I want to go to the yoga class where the yoga teacher is the most on fire aligned yoga teacher. And when I go to my accountant, I want my accountant to love
numbers.
Yeah, seriously. And when I go to my gynecologist, please love that, because that's it. You know what I mean? Please, everybody.
I get my hair done.
Yeah,
I want somebody who loves doing my hair, or I get a massage.
You don't want to find out later. I actually had this conversation with one of my clients earlier today. I was like, look, it's like, you don't want to find out later that I hated being your coach. You don't want to find out later that this whole time I was like, no, I'm gonna go.
Yeah, I gotta talk to them.
I gotta go do this thing, and I want to go, and I'm miserable. Like you said, the Sunday flu. If I don't want to be in an occupation or in a career or in a moment even where I'm have to do the thing that's so out of alignment with who I am. We all have to do the hard things. I get it, but I don't want to.
Sometimes you have to, and you may have to push the hobbies off onto the weekend and spend a few hours building that up. But
and sometimes there's temporary pushes, right? Where you really have to maybe do something you don't want to do for a little while. But I think the more aligned we all are, the more we remember oh yeah, I want to work with the most aligned person. So why don't I want to be the most aligned me to do my most aligned? So everybody wants to work with that version of me too,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So let me make sure I keep us.
What else is on your list?
Chugging along here. So my realization too was, I've had my business for 2 years now, and I had worked as a financial advisor for 12 years prior to this, and I reached this point where I was like, I have transitioned. I have successfully, transitioned into something completely different, which made me kind of think about this topic. So I'm going to give you, I wanted to share a few jobs, and then I want to share my career changing heroes that I kind of talked about. So I gave you guys the telemarketer one. Then I went to work for a fire alarm company when I was that was my first full time when I was 17. Of course, I start working there. Then they all go on strike. So I'm crossing the picket line. So don't anybody send me nasty email. I didn't know what was going on anyway. And plus they called you have a choice. You just go to work. Yeah, I was maybe I was 18 by then. But so they made us work as they called me wire chief. So I was the wire chief at the alarm company, whatever that means.
What does that mean, actually? What does one do as a wire chief, Trish?
You know what? I learned more than I needed to know about alarm companies. I mean, the biggest thing that I learned is that half the time the network's not working. And I was the person who would call in to tell them that this circuit was down, that circuit was down, watch the circuit come back up. Yes.
Riveting.
Yeah, riveting, yes.
But aren't you kind of doing that with people as a coach? I said, but aren't you kind of doing that with people as a coach?
Yeah, telling them the circuit is down.
Watching what circuits are going down and helping them understand.
But the funny thing is, as a coach, you can't tell them the circuit is down. You can just help them realize that the circuit's down. You know what I mean? Then what did I do? I worked at a major cosmetics company headquarters on Fifth Avenue.
Fancy.
While in whilst or while in the evening working in the men's hosiery department at Bloomingdale's.
Oh.
I know, yeah, men's hosiery. It was a thing.
That would actually be a pretty interesting, if I was going to pick a department where I might be able to write the best stories later.
That department, but I do know that gold toe socks are excellent, apparently. That's what I learned. I don't know if you've ever heard of them before.
I have 2 boys, of course.
Yeah. See, I was everybody came looking for gold toe socks. I was okay. What else? I worked at a blood bank.
Wow.
I used to donate blood every 3 months back in those days. I was a marketing coordinator, PR. They quoted me in the local papers for the blood bank, blood bank.
The marketing director of a blood bank. Boy, but that's cool.
I learned about the importance of donating blood.
And how to market.
It was kind of cool. It was it was probably, I guess, my first nonprofit. So it was community leaders and stuff like that. And then I went on to my more normal life.
What does that
when I
mean?
started working as my normal life. In my head, my normal life started once I finished my bachelor's.
I'm like, tell me about that life, Trish. What's that like life? Yeah, I'll sit back. Tell me about the normal life.
The normal life
Yes.
started
Okay. Good.
when I started working in sales for a telecom. I worked in 9/11 then. And yeah, so those were good days though, honestly. The World Trade Center in New York was a lot of fun before it went south.
Sorry about that.
And then I had the fitness center, and then I became a financial advisor for 12 years. And then I became an author, coach, and speaker. So there you have it.
Yes.
There's the journey.
Yes.
But I like it because it shows that you can do different things.
Look, it's real. You know, it's really real. I was listening to a really interesting podcast today about mushrooms. Oh, and not psychedelic mushrooms, but like the ones of the earth.
Sure about that?
Yeah, it was really about like the real mushrooms, and it was fascinating. It's like, you know, unless the stuff decays, unless we let things transition, nothing new can come. Which was really, you know, she was basically saying like, look, if we didn't have the mushrooms, if we didn't have rot and decay, if we didn't let go, the natural cycles of things are such that like we have to let go. We have to rot and decay for new growth to come. And I was like, it's so crazy.
Like, is my career rot and decay?
No, but I feel like it feels like that. Like when you're in that transition and you're like, should I stay? Should I go? It's like, God, like, am I decaying just sitting here in this job that feels like it's going nowhere?
Right? I have a magnet that says let go or get dragged. And I love it.
Amen. Yeah.
I actually saw it on one of my clients' desks, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to get one for myself. Let go or be dragged. Sometimes you've got to just keep it moving. Keep it moving. Any more cool jobs you want to tell me about before we
I've had like, so I worked as a tour guide for a Swiss adventure camping company. So I like toddled around like 15 German tourists every 3 weeks in these camping adventures. That was a cool gig.
That is cool.
Yeah. That's when I learned that that's a lot of people every day, all day.
So when did you start in photography? How long have you been doing that?
I've been doing that since I was 13, but technically for a little over 20 years as a
forever
photographer for a really long time. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what would you say you learned from your transitions, like trying new things? Or, I mean, you mentioned the nursing home thing, which I totally get.
You know, I think I've learned that transitions we fake ourselves out. Whether it was like, people would often say like, hey, how did you become a commercial photographer? And I laugh because I think, oh, it was actually the day I just decided I was one. Yeah. Right. And that happened to be because I had taken what would have been a family portrait of somebody's mom or dad, was with a slightly different angle with a slightly different background. Turns out that's a headshot. You know, like I didn't know that back then. So as soon as I understood that was the same thing, just twisted slightly different, and I knew how to do that, I was like, oh, well, technically I'm a business photographer. No, that's not the right word. Oh no, I'm a commercial photographer. Oh, I'm a commercial photographer. And people would like, we think these giant transitions have to be giant, or that like we wait for some sort of something from the outside to be like, yes, now you're a blah, blah, blah. Because that's true if you were becoming a nurse practitioner or something. Right. Hopefully.
Like what you said about permission, or like even somebody certifying you, like you didn't have to go to like photography school and get a stamp. You just had to say, I'm a commercial photographer and this, this is what I do. And that's it, which is actually,
it's 99% of the battle, unless we're in the category of like really where you're doing a certification or something. Right. But most of the time it's like, well, how did I decided to say I was and own it and figure it out.
Yeah, I like that. That's great. Okay. Yeah, we could keep it moving unless there's something else you want to add to that.
I'm good. I'm happy to talk about whatever you want.
Okay, so we get to get into our game now. I'm excited.
Okay, cool.
All right, so for the first one, when you think of transitioning from one job to another, or even from one life situation to another, is there a song that rings out in your head or artist that comes to mind? Something popped in my head. I don't know if it's the appropriate song.
I think that like, I probably like that Aretha, like Jane.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Here we go.
Funny. What popped in my head was The Beatles, help. I need somebody. Help.
I know. Yeah, like here we go again. Yeah,
That's a good one though.
so yeah. So
See, and I would like to say we did not prepare for this because
no,
first of all,
that's
Robyn
just
never got my notes,
right.
and I don't prepare anything anyway because
We're better that way.
then I'd have to remember it.
Right. Then you'd have the pressure of having to remember the thing you were going to do and hope you did it right according to whatever weird thing you'd set up for yourself ahead of time. Yep.
It would take all the fun out of it. But yeah, that's good.
I also think that we have enough self-trust in ourselves. We've moved beyond the self-doubt.
I'm just here for the fun.
Joe Roberts teaches about. Yeah. We've moved past the limiting beliefs and we are able to just
exactly
handle the stuff.
And this is how we teach others to kind of.
And what's the worst thing? These people who we can't even see right now are going to judge us and say mean things somewhere.
You chose the wrong song. You know, I gotta stop doing that voice because you know what? I got that voice from this woman on TikTok, and I don't know who she is, but she cracks me up, and she keeps
find you one day and be like,
she's like, I reject that. Yeah, so I have to stop. It's like the
alter ego
or something. My British queen, whatever.
You're Sasha Fierce.
Okay, so my top 3 career-changing heroes. First one is rest in peace, Toni Morrison, one of my all-time favorite authors, mainly for her book Beloved, which I think I read in my 20s, and I just,
what a beautiful
to me,
book.
her words were, it was like a symphony reading what she wrote. But she started her career as an English professor before becoming editor at Random House. And she didn't publish her first novel, The Bluest Eye, until she was 40. And after that, she had a long career. She authored 20 books and 2 plays. She went on to win both the Pulitzer Prize and the Nobel Prize in Literature. And if you have not seen the 2019 documentary, The Pieces I Am, it is wonderful. And it was released like not long before she passed, because I don't know if she passed 2019 or 2020, but it was like this movie finally came out, and then it was almost like the cherry on top of her life. You know what I mean? It was beautiful, like an end note. So you guys all go look for that. And so I don't know how well you know Toni Morrison, but do you have a song that you would like dedicate to her? I have to think about what mine would be.
Oh, a song for Toni.
Something popped into my head. I don't know what this means, but I'm gonna sing it. I don't know who sings it, but what popped into my head was, I'm gonna mess this up. It's like joy and pain.
Oh yeah.
Like sunshine and rain. I don't know who sings that. Joy and pain. Okay, that's it for my singing debut. But it sounds pretty appropriate. Her stories were always very bittersweet, you know, a lot of painful topics were covered.
Aren't the best writers that, you know, like I've been listening to a lot of Anne Lamott lately, who's like a beautiful writer. I should be reading her, but I like to listen to my audiobooks. I've been listening to her a lot. I know
the name. I don't know, what is she?
She's just a beautiful writer. She wrote a tome on writing called Bird by Bird long time ago. That's like sort of like a renowned writer's guide to just how to sit in your seat and write, you know, just write.
So she writes about writing.
Shitty first drafts. Yeah. Like, she originally started writing about writing, but now she really is a memoirist about stuff, but she's humorous and she's in recovery and she's super witty and super honest and just, just lovely. Lovely. But she reminds me that like the grist is in the mill, you know, like it is in the darkness. It's in that intersection where like writers really.
Well, sometimes that is just the place that is real, you know. I was writing an article for a publication where I had to do some, you know, history going back into like the 60s and desegregation and all this kind of stuff. And it struck me like, you know, when I was growing up, the 50s were like the Leave It to Beaver. Well, I wasn't born in the 50s. I just like to point that out. But like the Leave It to Beaver stuff, that like the Fonzie stuff. You know, what was the Fonzie show?
Happy Days.
Happy Days, yeah. So that whole like look back that was presented to us as like this time where it was innocent and the girls wore poodle skirts and all these things. And it just struck me that that was the same time when, you know, the country was segregated. right? And I'm like, wait a minute, am I being gaslit? Like, that
Like,
could
how
have
come they
been
didn't
that
mention that in that show?
wonderful. And men could still probably beat their wives and, just like,
And did. Yeah.
yeah. So I'm like, it's just, I don't know how I got on that topic, but yeah, for some reason, I was looking at
Fantasy of
something.
Hollywood.
Oh no, because we were talking about being real, telling the real story, because we were talking about Toni Morrison and Lamont. So yeah, it's like where the real, it's just authenticity of the stories that people can really relate to. So I don't know, do you have a story for your gritty authenticity or?
My gritty authenticity. I think that I'm
And it could be an artist too. Like if it's not a song, you might just have an artist.
my friend Rick Nocera is a painter, and I bring him up, like we just recently had reconnected because a good friend of mine shows his work in her gallery, and another good friend of mine represents his work, and I had no idea that he'd grown up to be a painter, though he was in high school, so it didn't surprise me. But what moves me about his work is he does a series where he takes one stroke and he makes the work in one stroke. And it's very like reminiscent of like Enzo paintings and like Buddhist meditation paintings, right? Where it's one stroke and that's it. And like the whole thing happens in that one stroke, and that one stroke is really evidence of like what's happening in that moment and like the truth of that moment. And that moves me because I think being as transparent, like just living in that, like that undivided a life is, I think that's such a gift we could give each other, So I'm inspired when artists.
Your artist, your friend, what's his name?
Yeah, Rick Nocera. Although I think he goes by Richard Nocera in the professional world. So Richard Nocera.
Richard Nocera will be your
artist. Check him out. Yeah. Yeah, and he did this really beautiful series. He's married to a Black woman, and so they have a biracial child who's just the cutest little thing in the whole world. But he does whole body of work about what that experience is like, and it's just the whole thing's just beautiful.
Yeah, that's got to be quite an experience, and to put it to art. Yeah, I like it. Mm-hmm. Okay, so my next career changing hero is Joy Behar. I like Joy Behar. So everybody knows Joy from The View. She started out as a high school English teacher, which has me thinking that English might be the thing. Oh. But so she was a high school English teacher until she decided to take a chance as a receptionist at Good Morning America. Smart cookie, right? She was hoping to move her comedy routines from small New York City nightclubs into bigger roles. And she got her first television role at the age of 44. And then in 1997, at the age of 54, she began co-hosting The View. As they say, the rest is history. She's my funny auntie in my head. Uh-huh. And I don't know, do you have a song or an artist that feels very Joy Behar to you?
Oh, yeah, I wish. To me, all I can see is like, when those people dance and they do like the big dance, like where they do that weird thing, like the jazz thing where they go out on the side, like she feels
like the tap dance thing, right?
Yeah, like that. Yeah, like
there's a name for that move, which
I know.
My daughter would probably know.
I don't know. It's like a something.
It's a thing.
Yeah, because she would be a great song, like Walking on Sunshine, or like some.
I like that, Walking on Sunshine. That's good. There's. I feel like she looks like somebody, but I can't think of her name right now. Why is it not coming to me? All right, I'm gonna have to go with something else. So my artist or song for Joy Behar.
I could bet she was a great receptionist.
Well, yeah, because she was definitely, she's funny, she's just naturally witty. Mm-hmm. You already said Walking on Sunshine. Now it's in my head.
I know, that's the problem. I know, all I can see is this and Walking on Sunshine. I'm like, oh God, I'll be going to sleep watching Joy Behar do her Charlie Chaplin. Sorry.
Now I'm getting this other song, but it's really not a happy song. Is it like?
There might be something in it for us.
It's like John Denver. Was that him? Sunshine on my window makes me happy. Sunshine makes me happy. But isn't that sad? Yeah. Somebody dies in that song. I don't know.
I even just think that John Denver just sounds sad even when it's really happy. So is this the nature of,
I love, yeah.
I know, right?
I used to play, my daughter used to love this song. We used to play, oh gosh, what's the one where he's going away?
Leaving on a jet plane.
Yes, yes.
I used to sing
My
that to
daughter
my
used to sing
kids
that to
all
me.
the time. You know.
It was just like you could just visualize the whole thing. I
Oh,
don't know when I'll be back again. All right.
yeah. Oh no.
So we got a lot of sunshine in this for Joy Behar.
Yeah.
Um,
I
and
think
then
that, yeah. Oh,
what?
so many good music. I was thinking about like James Taylor and like the visuals of like him driving from Stockbridge to Boston on like the Mass Pike. You know, it's like I live so close. It's like all those visuals that artists give us is so beautiful.
See, now I really don't know him at all. I have a friend who is obsessed with him. I think she goes to see all his shows,
Uh-huh.
like all over the country or whatever.
Wow.
But I just never grew up with James Taylor. So.
Yeah.
But I guess he must be good because he's got a lot of fans.
He was. I mean, he's quite old now. He was pretty amazing once upon a time.
But doesn't he still tour? Isn't he?
I'm sure he does.
Yeah, I think he
They
toured.
all still do. I mean, I think to see him would be a gift, really. That'd be worth doing if he comes to your area.
I don't know.
I know, but it would be worth it anyway. Like you'd go there and you'd be like, oh, I didn't know you, but I'm so glad I'm here. You know what I mean? Like it'd be one of those things.
You know who
like,
I grew up with?
I didn't know you, but they said eat here, so I did. And oh my God, they were so right.
You know who I grew up with who you may not think that my mother was obsessed with, and we actually went to his concerts and sang all his songs, was Tom Jones.
Oh yeah, of course your mom wanted to see Tom Jones. All the ladies wanted to see Tom Jones. Yeah, but we were just young enough. We're like, that's gross. He's gross. Why? You know, but
yeah, my mom loved her. So Tom Jones.
yeah.
Okay, so
Tom Waits, the ladies felt less inclined towards.
Yeah, it was such a thing. Okay, so my last final career changing hero. I was going to call him a shero, but I can't because it's none other than everybody's favorite uncle, George Foreman. So after his second professional boxing career defeat at the age of 28, did you know that he had a spiritual awakening that led him to retire from boxing and become an ordained minister?
I did not.
He has been preaching at the church he founded since 1980. Of course, he came back to win the championship at the age of 45 in 1994. But George may be better known for his role in the development and branding of the George Foreman Grill than his boxing career. His net worth is estimated at $300 million.
Really?
And includes revenue from not just the Foreman Grill, but many other entrepreneurial ventures. So the Church of the Lord Jesus Christ, which he founded, is very well blessed by him.
Wow, I never knew that.
Who knew?
So
Right?
yeah.
Do you have a song or artist that comes to mind for George Foreman's entrepreneurial uncle?
This is like a
Vibe.
recall challenge, like to see how quickly my sin on. I'm like, this is like an
You
aging
can say
challenge.
anything. The fun of it is it doesn't matter.
Good. It's like a George Foreman. All I can think of is grill. All I can think of is the grill, and I'm like, is there a
That's
grill?
what I'm thinking too. It needs to be like a song about cooking.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wait.
Is there a grilling
Hey,
song?
you're good looking.
Oh, yeah,
What
there you go.
you got cooking?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
How about cooking something up? Well, maybe
Some
who
kind
sings
of grill
that?
song. Somebody's got to comment below with like there's got to be some sort of country song about grilling, right? Somebody must have grilled something in a country song.
Or I got one more. This isn't
Or is
really
there,
a
like-
cooking song, but how about sitting on the dock? This is a fabulous
that's
song.
the best song.
Watching the time. I can't believe how much singing I'm doing on this thing
Who knew?
tonight.
I know, it's so good. Yeah, but they're right. That's a good one.
That's a good one. It's almost
Uh-huh.
kind of like cooking.
It might be more Morgan Freeman than George Foreman, though.
Sitting on the dock of the bay, watching the tides roll away.
Good.
Why is that Morgan Freeman?
I know, because he feels so peaceful because he's God on, TV when he wants to be.
I'm gonna have to look for that song soon. That is such a good, peaceful
that's a good
song. But I think it's kind of like that other one. What was the other one we were talking about? Oh, with John Denver with the plane. It's like I could always visualize so well
Right.
him sitting at the dock of the bay.
Oh. Because people used to really just care about the storytelling.
Yeah.
Those
Well,
are
that's
like
kind of more
simple
country, right?
songs. Well, I don't know. Yeah, I guess, but sitting on the dock of the bay is not a country song.
Yeah. I don't know.
No, that's not a country song.
It's a little country of me. I don't know.
It's like my country. Yeah. Well, that's fair. That's fair.
And one thing I should say, if anybody's watching us on Facebook, because we are recording through Zoom, I cannot see your comments. So we'll chat with you when we're done if there's any comments there, because I don't know, you might be screaming out, say this song. And like,
yeah, I should have put my phone on to check or something. Oh, well.
You could try. It's just delayed, and then it's going to get weird because then you won't be looking at me. And okay. I don't know. Is it working for you?
Let's try.
Yeah, I just.
Oh no! Now we're going to be getting.
When I grow up, I'll figure that out.
Oh no! Now somebody else is talking. Let's not do that.
Yeah, I think it'll get weird, and then we won't know what we're talking about.
Right. Then
I can barely keep up with myself as it is. So
we'll get back to you if you've commented. Comment below, and we'll be happy to check in later.
Okay, so that was
for the wire.
We're done with George Foreman.
Or the wire master.
The wire master. What does that mean?
I feel like there's a way to there's a way to put that into your new.
I'm sure.
Way to tie that in.
Wire master. I like it.
Yeah. Because it'll make people be like, oh, say more.
What's the wire master?
Right? Isn't that what they always tell you? And didn't they teach you that in the marketing? Like you always want to invite them to ask you the next question.
Say more. Yeah.
Oh, a wire?
Pique their curiosity.
That's right.
Instead of being the slayer of self-doubt, I'll just be Trish, the wire master.
I'm the lead wire master of my company. Ask me. I dare you.
Okay, so I got some honorable mentions here for my career-changing heroes. Martha Stewart went from model to stockbroker to lifestyle brand pioneer. Barbara.
To prisoner.
Stop picking on Martha. We've all got issues.
I do love Martha. Listen, I love Martha, but that woman put a lot of pressure on me. And that's really true. That is true. I would say it right to your face, Martha, like, oh, I love you, but my God.
No pressure. I've had a magnet. I don't, you know what? It still is sticking on my fridge. I think that magnet's been on my fridge for 20 years and it says Martha Stewart does not live here. So
that's so true. I shouldn't live here either. I tried. I really tried.
Martha can do what she wants. I
tried hard, Martha. You have a team. Don't tell me you don't.
And then Barbara, or B. Smith, had a similar path as a model, restaurateur, and transcultural lifestyle icon. Back in the day, we used to go to her restaurant in Manhattan, and I laid eyes on her once, and she said hello to me. Unfortunately, we lost her. I think it was 2020, because she had early onset Alzheimer's. But we also used to call her the Black Martha Stewart, because she was kind of in that, they had really kind of similar paths. And they both started out as models before becoming these kind of lifestyle icons. And then I'll give a shout out to Jay-Z, because I'm sure Jay-Z's sitting somewhere waiting for me to give him a shout out.
Right, yeah. He's been waiting all week.
He's gonna say Trish didn't even
mention one of the comments we're missing down below, guaranteed. He's like, listen, let me tell you.
Right.
I'm trying to talk to you.
So hip hop moguls like Jay-Z have epitomized the journey from street hustler to billionaire with a B, businessman. And then one of my favorites, Michael Jordan, is nearly as well known for his shoes as for his basketball career. I mean, honestly, like the kids growing up now, they all know the shoes and they would have never seen him play. So
they all know the drill, but not the boxer.
Exactly. So they're all amazing stories, I think, of transformation, of resilience, of creativity.
Trying to think of who I know, like who I can think of publicly, who I know like did really big multiple career shift. Like, of course, I'm going to get off this and think of like 15 of them guaranteed. But I feel like when I watch people pivot well, it reminds me that like anything other than pivoting well is nothing more than it's just resistance. It's resistance to the natural order of things, because everything is always changing. Like we're always pivoting moment by moment by moment. It's only when we pretend we're not, and it's a career change. If it's like leaving your person, fighting harder for like change relationship, you're going to fight harder for the thing so that your marriage is like amazing, or are you going to really just say you're good and you're good? Yeah. Like, what are we doing here?
One of the things that I liked about the interview that we had, because I went and watched it again, I can't remember why, but it was like we were talking about when you're young, your world is pretty small and then it gets bigger as you get older. And if you're not careful, it can start shrinking again. And you kind of, and I think that a lot of times is resistant to change. You get older, you like things the way they are, or at least the devil you know is the devil you know. So even if you don't like it, you're still scared of what's on the other side.
I feel like we have just enough, like, I think when you're younger, it's almost like mattresses. Like when you're younger, like you can sleep on a really crappy mattress. Like you don't care, like you could sleep on a foam, you could sleep on a towel. You'd probably be fine. The older you get, you're like, oh, I'm so interested in your blow up mattress. Like you start to need more, cushion beneath you. And when you're young, you're not afraid in the same,
Right.
you don't have as much comfort to say, oh, I'd hate to lose this much comfort. Like I'm pretty comfortable. So like, this is fine. Like you don't have that much to worry about saying goodbye to or moving out of your comfort zone from.
I mean, you lose that sense of wonder.
Yeah.
I talk a lot about a journal my friend gifted me, I think it was 2015, called Live in Wonder by Eric Stapperston. Do you have it?
I don't, but I have a good friend of mine who's a wonder specialist, and it's amazing.
I love it. So that was one of the things that I modeled my book after, because I'm always modeling, but yeah, just that idea of when you're a kid, everything could be fascinating. It's like a butterfly or raindrops, and everything is just like so interesting. And then you get older and you have to have someone remind you to stop and smell the flowers, because you will run right past it on the way to work. You know what I mean? Right. So yeah, keeping some of that wonder makes it
so important. It also is like the wonder makes it fun.
Yeah. Just doing, I mean, it goes back to the thing with change, having some something new to explore. Yeah.
I was telling you before, like I'm recently an empty nester, like as of like a week. So we won't talk too much or I'll start crying probably. But
okay, don't cry yet. We haven't gotten to the
but I was thinking about how like transition, like that kind of change, it's like it really does, like these natural transitions in life are here to force us to really stop and pause and question, like, okay, where am I now? And like, what's next? What do I want next? What do I want next? And like, I think it's cool. Like the older I get, the more permission I give myself to be like, oh yeah, I can do whatever I want relative, like within the reason of all the reason. Right. But like, I still get
abide by all the laws.
I want. Yeah.
Mostly.
Right.
Most of the laws.
Yeah.
Reasonable.
Yeah. And I recognize like, I recognize not everybody is in that position at all times. Right. Like we're not always just sitting here with like nothing but freedom in front of us. But it is always still a choice of like, what would make the next chapter, what would make the next moment be like, just feel better and be more fun and make you be psyched you chose that.
Yeah, I mean, we all have some options.
Yep.
Well, everybody doesn't have all the options, nope. But all of us have some options, right?
Absolutely.
So if any of these stories of transition have inspired you to make a change, I want to share my 5 tips, and we're going to talk about them a little bit, and maybe we'll sing more songs. I don't know what's going to happen. So the first tip is to do your research. Changing careers can seem exciting, but being broke is not fun. So you may want to check the road ahead before you make a flying leap. As Lisa Nichols says in her book, Abundance Now, new businesses typically cost 3 times as much as you think they're going to, and they don't turn a profit until probably about the 3rd year. So you definitely want to do your homework before making big changes. I don't know, any song or artist makes you think about researching? I don't know why Midnight Train to Georgia bumped into my head. What does that have to do with research? Maybe that's what you do when you're on a midnight train. You just
love that song so much.
It's like a long flight. You listen to podcasts. You can actually research probably on the midnight train to Georgia if you're not sleeping.
Yeah, I just think that's such a great point. It's like change doesn't have to be impulsive. It can also just be really well intended.
I think it's best if it is well intended.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, what's a song for research?
A researchy song.
Like I'm gonna come up with a list at 12 o'clock. I'm gonna like at 3 a.m. I'm gonna be like, damn Trish.
Does anything make you think about it? Like now I'm thinking Sherlock Holmes. He's like a character, but
research.
Einstein. He's not an artist. Well, he could be an artist.
He was an artist. I think Einstein was an artist.
You're gonna talk about me later. She made me play this game that sucks.
No, I'm psyched about it. I like it. I'm just like, oh, my recall. Like, why is my recall so bad about? But I'm like, all right, songs about research, or that might not be my recall. That one, I don't know. Trying to think of what I've been listening to lately. It would even spark my.
Not been listening to any songs about research.
No, I've been listening to "Cake by the Ocean," and it's like, because I think it's such a, like, I don't even care what they say. Like, I feel like I could take the instrumental version, like I could take the version in like Korean or like some other language where I don't even know what they're saying, and like I would still love it. Like I would still love the like high vibe energy of the song, but that's not a research song by any means. I don't know.
We can skip this one. You come back if you come up with a research.
Something will come to me.
And I think I gave 2 anyway.
I'd like to phone a friend.
I threw Sherlock Holmes in there. He seemed like he did research. Yeah. Okay, so the second step. So first step, if you're thinking about a career transition, definitely do your research. You know, I've done this a couple times, like when I did my fitness center. Well, actually a few times, because when I switched careers into finance, now, you know, doing the work that I do now. So I haven't always done the best of research because sometimes I just get excited. I'm just like, yeah, let's go for it.
Now you know you need to.
But also research sometimes, but I think also laying a path for yourself so that before you make a shift that you have some groundwork done. Like for me, a lot of what ended up helping me was Black Vegan Life, you know, because I had that group for a long time and I was getting a lot of exposure through some of the things that I was doing there. Yeah. So
sometimes I think it's a fine line between, it's a fine line between feeling like you have to have it all figured out before you can even start. Right. Well, I think that's like the opposite side of that coin, to just alert people to that in case that's
true.
If in your planning, you're like, oh my God, I can't actually do this for like 20 whole years now because right. Like that's also the other thread. Is like sometimes you might be better just starting than researching in a way that sends you down the rabbit hole where you can't ever start. So
that's true. Right? That is an excellent point. I guess my fear is that I don't want to encourage people to do something and then they're unemployed and they call me and Trish told me to, you know, become a clown and and so it's been my dream to be a clown.
I can pull up the song. Clowns. I can pull up a song for this.
Okay. What are we doing for research?
Yeah, no, for the for what we just said.
Okay, so for the next one.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's do the next one.
Okay.
Okay, so the next tip is get grounded. Woo. Significant changes to employment and lifestyle can make you feel like you are on a roller coaster. Be clear about your overall vision. We were talking before about your North Star, but even if it's not your North Star, which is kind of like your life's vision and purpose, it could be your 3, 5, 10-year plan. Just get an idea, a good solid idea of the direction that you want to go to. And once you have an idea of that, you want to make sure that you are spiritually and emotionally grounded so that sudden winds do not knock you over. What do you think about that?
I think that's super important. That's a different song.
You have a song for that?
I'm officially one song behind. Which
well, there's no money in this game, so it's okay. Okay. But for being grounded, go ahead, you go first.
No, for being grounded, you're right. No, being grounded. For being grounded, there's all I can think of, there's this instrumental hymn that they play in this exercise class I do, and it's these women who just a cappella hum. But they hum the most beautiful prayer. It's just a hum, but it's that. Like it's the background music for that exact thing. Like when you're spiritually grounded and held in your own center and in like the center, it's that. Sounds like that.
So what popped into my head was Erykah Badu, who I love.
Yeah.
And she is just like always so spiritual and grounding. And
till she's got
the first song that
till she's got to call Tyrone.
Oh yeah, Tyrone would not be the song. I was thinking about the first song that I think she had as a hit was On and On.
Oh yeah.
On and on and on. And that just feels grounding to me, I think.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. That's what I'm gonna stick with.
That woman is like
Tyrone, that I have to be
a grounding rod between, yeah.
That is a classic though, Tyrone.
I love that whole album, yeah.
Oh, I know what my song is already, and I haven't even read it. But you're probably gonna have the same song, but let's see. So the third tip is check your finances. Research and vision are great, but when it's all done, it comes down to the Benjamins, baby. Make sure you have a handle on projected income and expenses so you don't regret your decision to follow a new calling.
Hmm.
Do you have an artist?
All I can think of is, bitch, better have my money.
Rihanna, right? Yeah,
All right,
I had was
true. I don't know. Yeah.
that's a good one. I'm surprised I didn't think about that one. No, the one that I have is money, 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 money.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
But you know, our last president ruined that song for me a little bit, but it's still a good song.
Uh-huh. Yeah, some kind of make it rain anthem.
Yeah, okay, you got me thinking what songs say make it rain. I'm sure there's a bunch of them, but I can't think of any. But we did good. We got two
Right.
good money songs.
That was good. Yeah, the money one came quick.
Okay, there you go. All right, number 4, tap into your intuition. It's not very scientific according to Western standards, but we all know the gut is real and you can really get a sense of right or wrong by just kind of checking in with yourself, whether you're going for the gut, whether you're, getting your yoga on, going for the third eye, however you approach that, get still, maybe meditate, pray, however that comes to you, but get settled in yourself so you can tap into your intuition. And I think also not just intuition, but into your core values, make sure that what you are seeking to do is something that makes you feel good.
That's super important. I just had a call with a client the other day who's making a career change. And because she wanted to make the change she wanted to make change so bad that she jumped into something that sort of other people had kind of convinced her might be right for her, instead of taking the time to sit with what would really be right for me. Like, what do I actually want to do? But we do that, and then we course correct as we go. That's how we
right.
But it was such a great reminder of it's not only the what you do, but it's the way you get to do it that's equally as important. Because you might like to make food, but being a sous chef is different than serving elderly people at a nursing home versus whooping burgers at McDonald's versus farm to table. It's all different.
Yeah. That's what I learned when I had my fitness center, because I like to work out, but having a fitness center was not the same as just working out. It was quite different. So I learned that.
The song that came from me the minute you started talking about that was Eye of the Tiger.
Okay, that's a good one.
Yeah, because I'm like, it's right there.
I was thinking Stevie Wonder, very superstitious.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Writings on the wall. Okay, if anybody's got a recording contract for me.
Can we just take the show on? Oh, well, I'll just mention this to Jim Mayer, who was also in the series. I'll be like, oh, Jim, maybe you need a few backup singers with Jimmy Buffett and you.
Well, maybe I'll be the backup singer. I don't know.
I'm sure the comments will be waiting just underneath the last guy.
I'm scared to see what that's going to look like. All right, so
you're never going to be welcomed back. You ruined my fun.
So tip number 5 is get connected. So whether you reach out to your old alma mater, join a professional group, volunteer in your community, or go to weekly Bible study, whatever it is you're into, you're going to need to connect with people. Not only to keep you sane, but to propel you forward. I love connecting with people. It was such a delight meeting Robyn. She picked me up out of a Google search or something really totally random. And look at this. She's awesome.
The universe sent you to me.
So I repeat, do not try to go it alone. You can't just be in a closet working out your career change. You need to talk to people and bounce ideas off people. And if you're looking for a new gig, let people know that you're looking, the whole shebang.
It's such a fine line. I feel like there's for me in transition, especially career or creating projects, in creative projects of my own, there's a certain balance between solitude, connection with other people in the brainstorming and like, what could I do? What might that look like? How could that be? And then accidentally outsourcing too much to other people, like getting too much feedback can actually create even more confusion than at the beginning,
Yeah.
right? Like in the process of getting clarity, it's like, make sure you spend enough time alone with yourself, feeling what's right for you. Get the feedback from other people. Like, don't be too afraid to put it out there and let other people have feedback and make suggestions, but don't look too much for that feedback to the point that you hijack your own deeper knowing about it.
Yeah, no, that's true. And I wasn't even thinking so much in the space of feedback. I just find that like when I'm in groups doing things I enjoy doing, and I connect with other people who are doing what they enjoy, to me, just this kind of magic happens. That may have nothing to do with consulting for my business or anything like that.
It's just like synergy. Just
yeah, and I well, too, I guess I need to be around people. Like I like being alone too, but I can't be. I think most of us kind of experience that a little bit, like after a while with this whole pandemic thing. Like even people who didn't think they liked people started realizing that they needed to be able to be around people. Yeah, no, I just think that there's a lot of power in connecting with people.
Amen.
And just in a really authentic way, not like showing up at the, I don't know, Kiwanis Club or wherever it is that you don't want to be. And my father was Kiwanis for a long time, so I'm not hating on Kiwanis Club, but just someplace that's like not your place. Like, where would you not want to go? I don't know. For me, it's the Kiwanis Club. I don't even know anything about the Kiwanis Club. It's probably just because my dad was in it that I'm just like, it's dad's club, But whatever, sometimes people just join clubs just to meet people instead of because they really are interested in the purpose of the club,
Like doing what we think we're supposed to do, or like what the right thing to do in these circumstances are. It's like, what's the right thing for someone to do in this circumstance, instead of being like, no, but I am I am the person in this circumstance to say, what do I want in this circumstance?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'm involved with the Junior League. I adore the Junior League. They're all about helping women and children.
Yeah.
Or like my meditation center, which I adore my meditation, so the places, or my yoga studio, not the places that I put myself in are places that I really want to be in. And then when I connect with people in those places, it's just so sweet and so genuine.
Well, I think like our pockets of people,
nourishing.
Yeah, like there's pockets of people that we choose. They become reflections of who we are. Like wherever we go, right? We sort of seek out these reflections. So it's cool to be engaged with other people in communities that are like, that's right, you're a yogi, and like you're this, right? Like it's like, it just reminds you and amplifies the greatness you're already trying to like bask more in, Like and why not choose to go to places where people are like, that's right, welcome home. Here's where you're this. Right. Remember, it's lovely. We love that about you,
I like that, welcome home.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's exactly it. It feels like a welcoming space and a nourishing space. So that was my last tip.
I like it.
Making a change might just be the best thing for you, but you'll never know unless you take the leap. And what I would recommend before you take a leap into uncharted territory is that there is some planning and some community and definitely self-care involved. So Robyn, do you want to tell us anything about your business before we wrap up, or your personal life, or what you're doing this weekend? I don't know what you got.
Sure. Okay, let's tell you all sorts of things. So yeah, I am a life coach and a commercial photographer. And I work with people. I work with really strong people. It often tends to be men, but it's not that I don't love the women. I don't know. It's just the universe tends to send me really successful middle-aged guys who like did everything right and didn't end up with what they thought like they were getting sold. You know what I mean? And it looks really great on the outside, but it's a little bit messier on the inside than anybody wants to admit. And I love that because I feel like helping set men free so that they can light up the world.
Things, yeah.
That really matters. Like it matters for us as women in ways that I think even we don't talk about enough. So yeah, so I've been busy sort of lighting men up in the world.
I love that.
Yeah, I have been contemplating.
And men need the light. They need the light, Robyn.
They do.
So
I
this is
raised
good.
2 boys as a single mom, and I really heard firsthand, like
The
what it,
struggle.
yeah, the struggle and the pain, and like where they feel unseen in a world where women we've done such a beautiful job of raising our voices that sometimes I think we accidentally miss that we might be muting voices that also truer voices that need to be heard,
I mean, I think men need their own movement.
Mhm.
They need to move away from patriarchy as well,
Right,
because it damages women, but it also damages men.
right.
They're not supposed to have feelings. That's the first problem.
Mhm.
Raising boys with no feelings. How's that going to work? Right.
Right.
And I'm
But even
sure that you
raising
did the
boys,
opposite of
like
that.
my boys were really scared to have girlfriends in high school, which really surprised me, Trish. But it was because they had listened and heard so many girls be accusatory of things as a threat.
Mm,
They'd heard the conversations of like, well, if they don't, then I'll just say, right, and different versions of
mm.
enough things that were. It was
That's
an-
scary.
it
Yeah.
was an unexpected, scary realization that my boys carried in high school, a realization that someone else could accuse them of something and ruin their life, whether it was true
Hmm.
or not.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and that
And
just
I mean,
that was
that
just
can
something
happen.
different to hold, right? And it was interesting. So
Hmm.
anyway, so I like to work with men. I like to work with women too, but I work with people who are really ready to make some change and could use some self-awareness. And
Well, thank you,
you're
Robyn.
welcome.
Thank you so much for being on here with me.
You're welcome.
I'm
Thanks for doing
gonna
it. I
wrap.
love this.
I'm gonna wrap
So,
it up. And you see, my co-host came back to say
I
goodbye.
know. I am always like want to like look over, like I'm always trying to like look
He's
over
gonna
the edge.
say
Yeah,
goodbye.
I know.
So let's put him on here. This is Cooper, my my canine assistant. I wish you passion, purpose, and the realization of your fullest potential. Thank you so much for logging on to Live with Trish. And I would love it if you guys go on my website, trishagelroberts.com, and take the pledge for a juicier life's journey. All right, good night, you guys.
Not everybody.
All right.
You're so good.
So I'm going to stop recording. You sure you want to stop recording?